fix yourself. Good evening, everyone. First, I just want to say I see you, I feel you, I hear you. And if you're here tonight, it's because you're ready to go deeper. You're ready to look within. I believe one of the most profound truths of life is this: everything you are searching for in the world begins with you. The life you want to live, the peace you want to feel, the relationships you want to experience, all of it starts by fixing yourself. And I know fix is a strong word, but I don't mean it in a way that implies you're broken. I mean it in a way that calls you to align, to heal, and to become who you're meant to be. You see, we live in a world that's constantly telling us to fix everything outside of us. Fix your job, fix your job, fix your partner, fix your friends, fix the world. But here's the truth: until you do the work inside, everything outside remains a reflection of the chaos within. Let me tell you something about owning your story. It is one of the most courageous, liberating, and transformative acts you can do for yourself. Because your story, your full, unedited, unfiltered story, is your power. It's not what happened to you, it's who you become because of it. And if you are ever going to stand fully in the light of your life, if you are ever going to experience the wholeness that you are seeking, you have to stop hiding from your truth. I know it's tempting to push it away, to tuck the hard parts into the shadows, pretending they don't exist, hoping they will disappear if you just don't look at them. But the shadows have a way of making themselves known. They show up in your relationships, in your work, in your self-worth, in your fears, and in those quiet moments when everything is still and you're left with you. The pieces you try to deny are the very ones whispering, I need you to see me, I need you to heal me. Owning your story means standing in front of that mirror, not the mirror of your bathroom, but the mirror of your life, and saying, this is me. These are my mistakes, my triumphs, my wounds, my joys, my failures and my victories. You look at it all and say, I accept you, I love you, I honor you. When I talk about owning your story, I mean truly embracing every chapter, not just the parts that are wrapped up in pretty bows, but also the messy, complicated, difficult pages. Because here's the truth: every chapter of your story has served a purpose. The heartbreak taught you how to heal. The loss taught you how to cherish. The betrayal taught you how to trust yourself. The struggle taught you how to rise. Nothing was wasted, not a single moment. We live in a world where we're constantly told to present the best versions of ourselves, the filtered, curated, Instagrammable lives. But your authentic story is where your power lies. When you tell your story, your real story, you give permission to others to do the same. You become a beacon, a light for those who are still stumbling in the darkness of their own shame and fear. You see, the most powerful people are the ones who are no longer afraid of their truth. People who can say, yes, this happened to me, but it does not define me. I define me because when you own your story, you stop being trapped by it. You stop being a prisoner of the past. Instead, you transform it into fuel for your growth, your purpose, your becoming. Let me share something with you. I've sat with so many people who have carried their stories like a weight they didn't think they could ever put down. And when they finally spoke their truth, when they finally said, this is what happened and I'm still here, the freedom they felt was like breaking open a cage they didn't even know they were in. You owe it to yourself to own your story. You owe it to that little child inside of you who just wants to be seen, to be heard, to be loved completely. Because when you own your story, you begin to reclaim the pieces of yourself that you've lost along the way. You gather them back. You say to yourself, I am whole. I am enough. I am worthy, not despite my story, but because of it. And don't let anyone else write your story for you. The world will try to hand you labels. It will try to tell you who you are, who you should be, and what you can't do, but only you hold the pen. Only you decide the meaning of your story. You have the power to shift the narrative at any moment. You have the power to say, this is who I am now. This is the story I choose to tell. Because here's the beautiful, extraordinary truth: when you own your story, you step into a life of authenticity, a life of freedom, a life where you no longer have to hide. You give yourself permission to show up in the world fully, boldly, and unapologetically. And that, my friends, is the beginning of everything. Release what no longer serves you. I want you to take a deep breath right now. Just breathe in, hold it for a second, and now let it go. You feel that? The release, the letting go. That's what I want you to remember as we talk about this idea, releasing what no longer serves you. Because some of us are walking through life holding on to so much, too much things that weigh us down, that drain our energy, that cloud our spirit. And we keep carrying it because we're afraid to let it go. But what if I told you your freedom is on the other side of that release? So many of us are holding on to things out of habit, out of fear, or out of a sense of obligation. We hold on to relationships that have expired, beliefs that limit us, memories that haunt us, and identities that no longer reflect who we truly are. And deep down, we know that these things are not serving us, but we cling to them anyway as if our lives depend on it. And let me tell you, when you hold on to what no longer serves you, you block the blessings, the growth, and the possibilities that are waiting to come into your life. You block the flow of your own becoming. Imagine trying to climb a mountain with a backpack full of stones. Each stone represents something you know you need to release: an old grudge, a toxic relationship, a painful memory, self-doubt, guilt, fear. And every step you take, those stones dig deeper into your back. They slow you down. They exhaust you. And still you tell yourself, I can't put this down. I need this. Who will I be without this? But let me tell you something: you are not your burdens. You are not your pain. You are not your past. And you don't need to carry it all with you to prove your worth. There comes a moment in your life when you have to ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this helping me grow, or is it holding me back? And if the answer is no, then my friends, it's time to let it go. Now, I know letting go isn't always easy. Sometimes it means stepping into the unknown. It means leaving behind what feels comfortable or familiar. But here's what I want you to remember: growth does not happen in comfort. Transformation does not happen in stagnation. You cannot become the person you are meant to be while clinging to what keeps you small. Letting go is an act of courage. It's saying to the universe, I trust that there is something better for me on the other side of this. It's saying, I deserve peace. I deserve joy. I deserve to feel light and free. Think about a tree in autumn. The leaves that once gave it shade and beauty begin to wither and fall. The tree doesn't cling to those leaves and say, oh, I can't let you go. I need you to feel whole. No, the tree lets the leaves fall, because the tree knows that by letting go, it's making room for new growth. It trusts the seasons. It trusts the process. And we need to do the same. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that is keeping me from my next chapter? Maybe it's that job that leaves you unfulfilled. Maybe it's a friendship that drains you. Maybe it's a version of yourself that you've outgrown. Maybe it's the need to always be in control. Whatever it is, I want you to know this: you are allowed to release it. You are allowed to outgrow places, people, and patterns. You are allowed to evolve. Letting go doesn't mean you're giving up. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you are honoring your growth. You are saying, I love myself enough to choose what nourishes me, what strengthens me, what empowers me. And when you release what no longer serves you, you create space for new opportunities, space for healthier relationships, space for the peace and joy you've been craving. You cannot receive with hands that are clenched tightly around what needs to go. Open your hands, open your heart, let the old fall away. Trust that something beautiful is on its way to you. Because here's the truth: the life you want is waiting for you to let go of the things you no longer need. When you release, you rise. When you release, you allow the universe to pour into you what is meant for you. And, oh, my friends, that release, that's where your power begins. Forgive, especially yourself. Let me ask you something. Who do you need to forgive today? Think about that for a moment. Who is it that, when their name crosses your mind, or when you look in the mirror, there's a tightness in your chest, a heaviness in your heart, a feeling that just won't let go? Because forgiveness, my friends, is one of the most powerful, transformative gifts you can give to yourself. Now, I know when we talk about forgiveness, it's easy to think about forgiving other people, the ones who hurt us, who betrayed us, who didn't show up the way we needed them to. And yes, that kind of forgiveness is important. But what about forgiving you? What about the weight you carry from your own regrets, your own mistakes, the things you wish you had done differently? Let me tell you something. You cannot truly be free until you forgive yourself. I know some of you are carrying around a story, a moment, a decision that fills you with shame or disappointment. Maybe it was a relationship that didn't work out. Maybe it was a dream you gave up on. Maybe it was a hurtful word you said, a chance you didn't take, a risk you wish you had embraced. And instead of leaving it in the past, you've wrapped it around yourself like a heavy cloak day after day, year after year. But hear me now, you are not your mistakes. You are not the worst thing you've ever done. You are not the worst moment you've ever had. You are a human being, and human beings are works in progress. We stumble, we fall, we get it wrong, and that's okay. Because the journey of life is not about never making mistakes. It's about learning from them, growing through them, and finding the strength to forgive ourselves for them. You know, I've sat with so many people who on the outside looked like they had it all together, successful careers, beautiful families, all the markers of what society calls a good life, but on the inside they were carrying wounds. They were carrying wounds they'd inflicted on themselves. They were stuck in an endless loop of self-blame, punishing themselves over and over for something that had happened long ago. And I want you to know, you don't have to live like that. You don't have to keep yourself in that prison. Forgiveness is the key to that prison. And when you turn that key, when you say to yourself, I forgive you, I release you, I free you, that's when healing begins. That's when you start to taste the sweet, fresh air of liberation. Because let me tell you something profound. Forgiving yourself is an act of self-love. It's an act of recognizing that you are worthy of a second chance, a third chance, 100th chance. You are worthy of compassion. The same compassion you give to your friends, your family, even to strangers, it's time to give that to yourself. Think of that moment when a dear friend comes to you, tears in their eyes, confessing a mistake they've made, a burden they're carrying. What do you say to them? You don't say, you're terrible, you should feel bad forever. No, you say, I love you, I see you, you're human, and it's going to be okay. You wrap them in grace, you lift them up. And I'm here to tell you, you deserve that same grace. You deserve that same love. And I know some of you might be thinking, but Oprah, you don't know what I've done. You don't know the guilt I carry, and you're right. I may not know your story, but what I do know is this holding on to guilt and shame does not serve you. It does not make you a better person. It does not make things right. It only holds you back from the fullness of life you are meant to live. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean you're ignoring what happened. It doesn't mean you're excusing it. It means you're choosing to learn from it. It means you're choosing to learn from it. It means you're choosing to grow instead of staying stuck. It means saying to yourself, I did the best I could with what I knew at the time, and now that you know better, you can do better. That's all any of us can ask for. Forgiveness is about making peace with the past so you can step fully into the present, so you can create a future that is not defined by old wounds, but by new possibilities. You know what happens when you forgive yourself? You start to breathe deeper. You start to feel lighter. You start to feel lighter. You start to believe, I deserve happiness. I deserve joy. I deserve to be free, and the truth is, my friends, you do. You deserve all of that and so much more. And when you do, you'll feel the shift. You'll feel your spirit rise. And oh, my friends, that's when you'll truly begin to live. Invest in your growth. I want you to hear me when I say this. You are your greatest asset. Not your house, not your car, not your bank account. The person you are becoming is the most important investment you will ever make in your life. And let me tell you something, you are worth that investment. You are worth the time, the energy, the effort, and the resources it takes to grow into the fullest, most extraordinary version of you. But here's the thing, growth doesn't just happen by accident. You don't stumble into becoming your best self. It requires intention. It requires commitment. It requires making a conscious choice every single day to pour into yourself, to nurture your mind, your body, and your spirit. Because just like any investment, the more you put into yourself, the more returns you're going to get. And let's be clear, investing in your growth is not a luxury. It's a necessity. If you want to live a life that's meaningful, if you want to experience joy, if you want to be able to give to others, you have to fill your own cup first. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. So ask yourself, am I giving myself the care and attention I deserve? You see, too many of us are running on empty. We're taking care of everyone else, meeting everyone's needs, showing up for our families, our jobs, our friends, and we forget to show up for ourselves. And let me tell you, that is not sustainable. Eventually, you burn out. Eventually, you lose touch with who you are. You wake up one day and realize you've been so busy surviving that you haven't been thriving. And thriving is your birthright. To invest in your growth means to make you a priority. It means to ask, what do I need to learn? How do I need to heal? Where do I need to expand? And then, my friends, it means to act on those answers. Because growth requires action. Growth requires you to step outside your comfort zone and say, I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to take the journey. And let's be real for a moment. Sometimes investing in your growth means spending money on yourself. And I know for some of you that feels selfish. You hesitate to spend money on a course, a retreat, a coach, or a book that could change your life because you think, oh, I can't spend that on me. I should be saving it or using it for someone else. But hear me now, you are worthy of that investment. The more you grow, the more you have to give. The better you become, the more you can serve. And growth, my friends, is not just about achieving success. It's about achieving wholeness. It's about becoming someone who lives with purpose, who walks through life with clarity, who loves themselves enough to keep evolving. Investing in your growth means you are saying, I am not done yet. I am not finished. There is more for me to learn, more for me to experience, more for me to become. And that is a beautiful, powerful thing. So I want you to ask yourself, how can I invest in my growth today? What's one step you can take, one decision you can make that says to the universe, I am committed to becoming the best version of myself? Maybe it's reading that book that's been sitting on your shelf. Maybe it's signing up for that class or having that difficult conversation or simply taking time to rest and reflect. Whatever it is, do it. Because your growth, your evolution is the greatest investment you will ever make. Because when you grow, you shine brighter. And when you shine brighter, you light the way for others. And that, my friends, is how we change the world one investment. One choice, one step toward growth at a time. Let me tell you something that I know for sure: you are the author of your own life. You hold the pen, you choose the narrative, you decide how the story unfolds. And if you want to create a life that reflects your highest self, your deepest truth, you have to be willing to do one thing: take accountability. Now, let's talk about what that really means. Accountability is not a word we always like to hear. Because, let's be honest, it can feel uncomfortable. It can feel heavy. But I promise you, my friends, taking accountability is one of the most empowering, liberating, and transformative things you can ever do for yourself. It is not a punishment, it is a gift. Because when you own your choices, your actions, and your life, you step into your power. You declare, I am not a victim of my circumstances. I am a creator of my reality. You see, accountability means standing in the truth of your life and saying, I see where I am, and I take responsibility for how I got here. And let me be clear, I'm not talking about blaming yourself for things that were outside of your control. I'm talking about taking ownership of the things that were within your control. The decisions you made, the patterns you've been repeating, the habits you've clung to, the words you've spoken, and the actions you've taken or not taken. Now, I know there are times in life when it feels easier to point the finger outward, to blame the job, the partner, the parents, the system, the world. And yes, sometimes those external factors are real and valid. But if you give all your power away to them, if you're always saying it's their fault, they did this to me, you're also saying, I am powerless to change my life. And you know that's not true. There is a part of the story that belongs to you. And when you claim it, you give yourself the power to rewrite it. You know, I've learned in my own life that when things are going wrong, when I'm feeling stuck or dissatisfied, the most powerful question I can ask myself is this: what is my part in this knot? Who can I blame? Not, why did this happen to me, but what choices did I make that brought me to this place? And what can I do to move forward? Think of your life like a garden. If there are weeds growing, you can't just pretend they aren't there. You can't just blame the weather or the soil and expect them to go away. You have to get in there, roll up your sleeves, and pull those weeds out by the root. And yes, it's hard work, it's messy work, but once you do it, you create space for new, beautiful things to grow. Now, I know that some of you might be feeling the weight of your past decisions. Maybe you're thinking of the times you fell short, the moments you let yourself down. And I want you to hear me: taking accountability is not about shaming yourself. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about learning. It's about saying, yes, I did that, but I am not that mistake. I am not that moment. I am not bound to that version of myself, because accountability, when paired with self-compassion, becomes the fuel for transformation. You get to say, I see where I went wrong, and now I'm going to make it right. I'm going to choose differently. I'm going to be better. That's how you grow. That's how you evolve. That's how you become the person you are destined to be. Because when you take accountability, you're not just taking responsibility for your past. You're claiming ownership of your future. You're saying, I get to decide what happens next. I get to create a life that reflects my truth, my values, my vision. So I want you to ask yourself today, what is one area of your life where you can take accountability? One place where you can say, this is mine to own, mine to change, mine to heal, and then, my friends, step into that truth. Own it, embrace it. And know that on the other side of accountability is the freedom, the power, and the life you have been waiting for. Because when you take accountability, you take your power back. And oh, my friends, that power is waiting for you. Practice radical self-compassion. I want to talk to you today about something that can be so simple, yet so profoundly difficult for many of us: radical self-compassion. The kind of compassion that wraps around you like a warm embrace and reminds you that you are enough. The kind of compassion that says, I love myself, even when I fall short, even when I stumble, even when I don't have all the answers. You see, for so many of us, offering kindness, grace, and compassion to others is second nature. We do it without even thinking. When a friend makes a mistake, we say, don't worry about it, you're only human. When our children struggle, we lift them up with love. When a colleague falls short, we reassure them, you've got this, you're doing your best, but when it comes to ourselves, oh, we can be so quick to judge, to criticize, to tear ourselves down. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to someone else. And then we wonder why we feel so weighed down, so trapped, so disconnected from our own hearts. But hear me when I say this, you deserve the same love, grace, and tenderness that you give so freely to everyone else. Radical self-compassion is about giving yourself permission to be human. It's about understanding that your worth is not based on your performance, your productivity, or your perfection. It's about knowing that even when you struggle, even when you fail, even when you fall apart, you are still worthy of love. I know some of you are carrying around an inner voice that is harsh, relentless, unforgiving. Maybe it says things like, I should have done better. I'm not good enough. I keep messing up. What's wrong with me? That voice is not the voice of truth. That voice is not helping you grow. It's keeping you small. And it's time to meet that voice with a new one, a voice of compassion, a voice of kindness, a voice that says, I see you, I understand you, and I love you anyway. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but if I go easy on myself, won't I stop striving? Won't I just get lazy? Oh no, my friends, radical self-compassion is not about giving up on yourself. It's not about making excuses or avoiding growth. It's about giving yourself the space and the grace to grow from a place of love instead of a place of fear. It's about recognizing that you don't have to beat yourself into becoming better. You can love yourself into transformation. Think about a plant. If you want it to grow, you don't yell at it for not being tall enough. You don't criticize it for needing water or sunlight. You nurture it. You give it what it needs to thrive. And that's what radical self-compassion is, nurturing yourself through every stage of growth. Watering yourself with kindness, giving yourself the sunlight of acceptance, trusting that you are growing even when it's slow, even when it's messy. Because, my friends, we all have moments when we fall. We all have days when we don't live up to our own expectations. But the true power lies in how we respond to ourselves in those moments. Will we meet ourselves with harshness, or will we meet ourselves with compassion? Will we shut ourselves out, or will we pull ourselves close? Radical self-compassion means choosing to pull yourself close, choosing to be your own ally, your own friend, your own safe place. You know, I remember a time when I was beating myself up for a mistake I made. I felt so disappointed, so ashamed. And a friend looked at me and said, Oprah, you need to give yourself the same love you'd give me if I made that mistake. And that hit me so deep. Because I realized that the love and understanding I extended to others, I was withholding from myself. And I made a promise that day to be kinder to me, to forgive myself as quickly as I forgave others, to treat myself like someone I love. And I want you to make that promise to yourself right here, right now. Say to yourself, I deserve my own compassion. I deserve my own love. I deserve my own grace, because you do. And let me tell you, when you practice radical self-compassion, something shifts inside of you. You stop walking through life with a burden of shame and self-criticism. You start to walk with freedom. You start to walk with lightness. You start to walk with the knowing that you are worthy, always worthy. And when you show up in the world from that place of self-compassion, you inspire others to do the same. You create a ripple effect of love, of healing, of understanding. Because when you love yourself fully, you teach the people around you that it's okay to love themselves fully too. So I want you to ask yourself today, how can I practice radical self-compassion? Maybe it's speaking to yourself with more kindness. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to rest. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for that thing you've been holding on to for too long. Whatever it is, make the choice right now to be on your own side. Because, my friends, the world is hard enough as it is. Life will give you challenges, struggles, and storms. The last thing you need is to be your own enemy. Be your own friend. Be your own champion. Be your own source of love. And when you do that, you begin to heal. You begin to rise. You begin to truly live. Embrace the journey. It's never done. I want you to take a deep breath and hear me when I say this: your life is a journey. It's not a race. It's not a destination. It's a journey, a beautiful, winding, unpredictable journey. And that journey is never done. No matter where you are right now, no matter what you've accomplished or what you're still working toward, you are still in motion. You are still becoming. And that is the beauty of this life we've been given. So often we put pressure on ourselves to arrive, to get to some finish line where everything will be perfect, where all our struggles will be over, where we'll finally feel complete. We say, when I get that job, when I buy that house, when I lose that weight, when I find that relationship, when I achieve that goal, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be at peace. But let me tell you something, I know for sure there is no final destination. There is no moment where you suddenly arrive and the journey stops, because the journey is your life. And the truth is, if you are always waiting to arrive, you are missing the magic of the now. You are missing the beauty, the lessons, and the gifts that are here for you in this moment. You see, the real joy, the real growth, the real living happens in the process, not in the outcome. It happens in the days when you're figuring things out, when you're taking one small step at a time, when you're learning, stumbling, and picking yourself back up. It happens in the moments that are messy, uncertain, and beautifully unfinished. When you embrace the journey, you give yourself permission to be incomplete, to be a work in progress. And let me tell you, there is freedom in that. There is freedom in that. There is freedom in knowing that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep moving forward. You just have to keep growing. Because the moment you think you've arrived, the moment you think you've got it all down, life will come along and say, oh, honey, there's more for you yet. There's more to learn. There's more to learn. There's more to experience. There's more for you to become. And that requires a shift in mindset. It requires you to trust the process, even when the process feels uncertain. To believe that you are exactly where you need to be, even if where you are right now doesn't look the way you imagined it. Because every step of your journey is preparing you for what's next. Every experience, the good, the bad, the joyful, the painful, is shaping you, refining you, teaching you something you need to know for the road ahead. I've had seasons in my life where I thought, this is it. This is the pinnacle. This is as good as it gets. And just when I thought the journey was complete, life opened a new chapter. A new door appeared. And sometimes that door led to challenges, to lessons I didn't know I needed. But every single time it led to growth. It led to a deeper understanding of myself. It led to a new level of purpose, a new level of me. So I want you to understand that your journey is unique. Don't compare your path to anyone else's. Don't measure your progress by someone else's timeline. Your journey is yours alone. And you know what that means? It means you get to walk it at your own pace. You get to define what success looks like for you. You get to decide what matters most to you. And let me tell you something else. The journey is not always going to be smooth. There will be detours. There will be roadblocks. There will be moments when you feel lost, moments when you feel like you're going backward instead of forward. But even in those moments, you are still on the path. Even in those moments, you are still becoming. And sometimes the detours are where the greatest blessings are found. Sometimes the roadblocks are redirecting you towards something even better than what you had planned. You see, embracing the journey means embracing all of it, the highs and the lows, the victories and the setbacks, the clarity and the confusion. It means trusting that every part of your journey has purpose, that even the pain has meaning, that even the challenges are opportunities to grow, to stretch, to rise. And I know sometimes it's hard to see the meaning when you're in the middle of the struggle. Sometimes it's hard to trust the journey when the road ahead is dark and unclear. But I promise you, if you keep going, if you keep showing up for yourself, if you keep believing that your journey is worthy, you will look back one day and see how every piece fit together. You will see how even the hardest moments were preparing you, shaping you, leading you toward your highest good. So I want you to ask yourself today, am I embracing my journey? Am I showing up for the process, or am I waiting for the destination? Because the journey, my friends, is where the living happens. It's where the magic happens. It's where you happen. And when you embrace that, when you trust that your journey is never done, you open yourself up to a life that is rich, deep, and endlessly unfolding. You open yourself up to the miracle of becoming. And that, my friends, is the greatest adventure of all. My friends, everything we've talked about today, from owning your story, releasing what no longer serves you, forgiving yourself, investing in your growth, taking accountability, practicing radical self-compassion, and embracing the journey, all of it leads to one undeniable truth. Your life is your responsibility. You are the author, the architect, and the steward of your own becoming. And the power to create the life you desire doesn't lie out there in someone else's hands, it lies within you. Fixing yourself isn't about chasing perfection. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to the truest, deepest, most authentic version of you. It's about stripping away the layers of self-doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs that have held you back and stepping boldly into your own light. You don't need to be fixed because you are broken. You need to be nurtured, loved, and empowered because you are worthy. And here's the thing, this journey is never done. There's no finish line where you finally arrive, dust off your hands, and say, I've made it. No. Life will keep offering you lessons, challenges, and opportunities to grow. And that's a good thing. It means you are alive. It means you are evolving. It means you are becoming more of who you are destined to be. So take this journey one step at a time. Be patient with yourself. When you stumble, rise with grace. When you fall short, forgive yourself quickly. When you doubt your worth, remember who you are. And through it all, hold on to this truth. You are not just capable of transforming your life, you are worthy of it. Now, as you walk away from this moment, I want you to say to yourself, I am ready. I am ready to own my story. I am ready to invest in myself. I am ready to release the weights holding me back, to practice radical compassion, and to embrace my journey fully. Because when you decide to show up for yourself wholeheartedly, unapologetically, there is nothing you cannot achieve. There is no mountain too high, no wound too deep, and no dream too big. So go out there and fix yourself, not because you are broken, but because you are worthy of a life that feels whole. You are worthy of a life that reflects your highest truth. And as you do this work, remember that you are not alone. We are all in this together, walking our own paths, stumbling, rising, and becoming one step at a time. Now, go forward and shine. Your journey awaits. Thank you.